Hello and welcome to a new video session, which is part of our growing library of instructional videos from Encompass BI. Encompass BI is an organization committed to working exclusively with agencies and human services. Encompass BI has a suite of business intelligence modules that can be set up for any agency to bring data feeds from disparate systems such as your EMR, accounting, HICSIS, human resources, and even spreadsheets to feed a dynamic reporting structure. Our platform will, for the first time ever, produce dashboards and reports to drive organizational efficiency and change on an ongoing basis. Today, we have Jody Esper, Chief Financial Officer of Mainstay Life Services, joining us to discuss the need for speed reporting. Mainstay Life Services engaged Encompass BI to implement all 13 business intelligence modules, but we will only focus on the targeted area with today's session. Our CEO, Scott Baychek, will spend a few minutes discussing some of the detailed outcomes Jody was looking for and wanted to realize for their agency. Allow me to introduce Jody Esper, Chief Financial Officer of Mainstay Life Services, with headquarters in Pittsburgh and locations across southwestern Pennsylvania, and our very own Scott Baychek, the CEO of Encompass BI. Scott?
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. And Jody, thank you for joining us today. Before we get into the actual case study, wanted to do a little bit of a situation overview, kind of give you the backdrop of what was happening. As the pandemic hit back in March, we were already working with Jody and her team to create a business intelligence platform. But as we were doing that, and then COVID hit, you've all lived, the challenges and uncertainty that caused, the potential decline in revenue that was affecting many of you. And then there were a lot of operational and staffing adjustments, changes that you needed to make to be able to adjust and adapt to the environment that was significantly changing. And then, as the COVID piece hit, there was personal protective equipment and funding that was related to that, and tracking that information, being able to report on information was a big deal. So as we were doing all that, we kind of met with Jody, and Jody kind of reached out to us and said, hey, we're going to need to get this information much quicker. We need to have it more timely. But I'm going to let Jody talk more about the overall objectives of what they were trying to accomplish. So we'll start there. So Jody, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Scott. When I reached out to you, I was concerned. I knew that our agency would be affected, but I didn't know to what level, what our needs were going to be, other than the need for data was going to be strong. We were going to need to manage week to week how many individuals we were serving, how many units we were billing, how much revenue was coming in, our productivity, our funding sources. We had to have the information to make very quick decisions, and we needed it to be transparent. As you're making tough decisions and you're needing to move things within your agency, the need to have visuals and reports that you can share with other key leaders in the agency to help those decisions was just absolutely going to be necessity to manage this pandemic.
Perfect. Thank you, Jody. So as obviously, as I stated, we were already in a partnership with BI, but as you looked at this specific situation, and you looked at different kind of options or solutions that could help you, why did you pick BI? Why did you want to go down this path?
Well, we did have the monthly reports already in place, and knowing that we could easily transform that data into weekly reports that we knew we needed was key in being able to make that adjustment very fast. Also, being able to automate all of our systems and centralize into one key reporting mechanism was critical, so that you weren't relying on multiple staff and you weren't having to look for data that you knew that you needed. And then to add the analytics and the visuals that could easily inform all the key stakeholders, that was a necessity for individuals to understand very quickly as things were changing. We really were able to make decisions based on the data and be very transparent as those decisions were being made.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And even as we went through there, it took a little time to get it up and running. We had to understand the nuances of your data, like how do you count individuals served? If an individual is in the information multiple times, you don't want to count the individual multiple times. You only want to count them once. But once it was built, the process that's in place today is fairly fluid. There's really 3 steps. On a Thursday evening, Jody's team will provide us the information. We go through and update that on Thursday night into Friday, and Friday morning it's published to Jody, and then Jody goes through the information and communicates to the rest of her organization to give them a status of things, and kind of at the end of the day, it's the organization's now looking information and making decisions off of facts and data versus intuition or guessing. So it's I think has really helped them. So thanks, Jody. So our last question here, Jody, as you think about the process that we went through and building this and getting it up and running, what advice would you have for others that are thinking about taking this journey of using BI to be able to organize their data, to be able to make better decisions?
First, definitely start with the end in mind. Scott will tell you my number one takeaway that I've always wanted from the day we started this and is still true today is understanding the cost of the services you provide. So being able to move forward into the future, I think that's critical. And so for me, that was always one of my key endpoints. And we have that data. And so that was very critical. And from there, we've built out other modules. And it's amazing the data that you don't realize that you have until you start to pull it all together, and the information that you're able to get when it's in one place and combined. I think one of the key points that I would also make is thinking about your internal business processes. So for us, we really took a look at all of our spreadsheets and systems and the number of man hours it took to pull that data together, and how could we cut back and how could we really improve on that. And so during those improvements, we've actually been able to change the way we do things in a very positive way, so that not only are we getting the data quicker, but much easier. I'd start very small. I think one of our things that we did from the get-go was we tried to implement everything all at once. And I think we realized very quickly that we needed to start with each piece and really focus and get that right, and then move on each time. Because if the end users aren't using your data, then it's really not going to be of value. So I would recommend that you really start small and then grow from there. And knowing that it's a journey. It takes time to understand your data. It takes time for Scott and the team to also understand your data. And it's a lot of communication and rework to get it right and to make sure that you have the best data that you can.
Yeah, I think those are great points, Jody. I know we spent a lot of time understanding the data and understanding what it means, because to make the reports accurate, I know in several situations we've gone through several iterations to say, hey, that initial data doesn't look right. And then when you dig into the detail and understand the nuances of how it's entered into the systems and how you're pointing it out and what it means, it takes time to be able to kind of have the system calculate it properly. So I think that's a great point. And the start small is another great point. You don't want to try to take this massive system all at once. We've learned that, right? It's take bite-sized pieces, make sure you get those up and running, make sure you're comfortable with them, make sure they're accurate, and then move on to the next thing. And it is a journey. So, and I always like to use, Peter Drucker's famous quote is, you can't manage what you don't measure. So having this in place to be able to make these database decisions, fact decisions, is really, really important, especially in times of duress and change. So thank you, Jody. I also want to thank you very much for taking your time today and sharing your thoughts and insight with others. I'm sure they're going to appreciate your knowledge and experience. So thank you very much. Chris, I'd like to hand this back over to you then.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Jody, for being a part of our episode here today. To all of our viewers and on behalf of Encompass BI, we would like to thank you for viewing this short informational video. Encompass BI will continue developing our library of videos, and we'll have more to be accessed on our website at www.encompassbi.com. As you can see, my contact information appears on the slide. I would be thrilled to speak in depth or more in depth on a personalized level for those who wish to reach out. Thank you very much for your time and attention today. We really appreciate it. Have a great day.